All right, our next point, Chris, Wrexham. They're able to get promoted. They're going to be in EFL League 2 next year. They finish off a fantastic run in the National League. They bring in Ben Foster, of all people, who I'm a huge Ben Foster fan just because of, playing him and using him in FIFA. And you can always do a transfer fee for Ben Foster and end up having top quality goaltending without having to spend top quality dollars. But Wrexham gets it done. So what's next now? Going up from the National League to League 2. No one's ever gone from the National League to the Premier League, but teams have gone from the Premier League down to the National League. No one's just ever gone back the other way. So what does Wrexham need to do to be able to build a winner in EFL Cup League 2?
They got to strengthen the squad. First of all, they'll have a big party. The party will continue. They're having one now. And then they've got to get serious, and I'm sure they're getting serious already behind the scenes. Looking at players, and most of the players in that National League will have played League 2 soccer already, possibly League 1. But they got to make sure that they've got a squad absolutely that they're sure is going to at least survive in that League 2. Like the Paul Mullin, who scored 2 of the goals on Saturday to get him promoted. He spent 10 years in League 2 already with Colchester. And so he's players like that. Ben Foster, they're attracting these guys now. Ben Foster, I think I know that he played for Wrexham on loan back 2005, but he went on to play for Man United, went on to play for England, but he's back to Wrexham because he loved the story. It was like going home. It wasn't the money for him. It was just being part of the story. And I think there'll be a lot of players. First of all, they'll be able to play. They'll be able to pay players to come and play for them. But also, I think a lot of players will just want to be part of that, part of the story, part of the feel-good factor that's around Wrexham. I mean, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. It's huge. There's the Wrexham have all of a sudden become this famous team across the states, across the world, that no one had ever heard of before, only in Britain. And yeah, so I don't think they've got it. That's what they've got to do. They've got to strengthen their squad, build on this feel-good factor, and make another run for it. And there's no reason they can't make another run for League 2 next year.
Okay, so here's a question that I have. Is bringing in a guy like Ben Foster, because it's not like Ben Foster. Would Ben Foster have been there without the television show, without celebrity ownership and things like that? And do you think that, because I've wondered 2 things. I've wondered, one, can Wrexham continue to bring in players like this, that maybe they wouldn't have played at that level, but because of the story with Wrexham and maybe older guys that don't need money, maybe you could bring in a 38-year-old guy that played in the Premier League for a while, or a 40-year-old guy that played in the Premier League for a while that just wants to be part of that story. Maybe they can attract other players as opposed to having to take young guys and things like that and trying to win your way up to League 1. So on the positive side, I think they can continue to attract players like a Ben Foster. The other side, though, I wonder is, will clubs, because of all of the story with Wrexham, will clubs be less likely to send some of their players out on loan? Because, we know people who own an EFL League 2 team, and a lot of what they count on are guys that are on loan, and they can get them playing time and things like that. And then sometimes if you end up having the rug pulled out of you because a dude that was going to be on loan all year gets called back to the big club, you can be in trouble. I wonder what a big club or a championship club or a club in the EPL that may be sending one of their players down to League 2, would they avoid sending them to Wrexham because they don't want their player to be part of that kind of story? And then you call them back up in the middle of March when Wrexham's on a run and has an opportunity to be able to possibly get promoted to League 1.
No, I don't think so. I think clubs would be happy to loan their player to Wrexham. And I think for me, here's why. Because the one thing we haven't mentioned that's going to go against Wrexham is that every game they play, it's like the circus coming into town, and everybody in the league in 2 will want to in League 2 will want to beat Wrexham. It'll be like their big game, their cup final, for, if you like. Yeah, make no mistake about it. Everybody will want to beat Wrexham. These big shots with the Hollywood stars, it's just the way it is. It's worked for Wrexham, but it's going to work against them, and they've got to be really tough to combat that. So the pressure will be on Wrexham. So if you want to loan out one of your young lads to cope with pressure, Wrexham's a good place for him to go because the pressure will be on them. They'll be playing under pressure every week. They'll be playing more than likely with Ben Foster and, as you say, outfield players, because more experienced outfield players will be coming along. Ben Foster will have his buddies. They all talk. They all say, "Hey, come and help us out." So there'll be a lot of phone calls going on. There'll be guys coming to the end of the career who really want a part of it, and yeah, they're going to go well, I think, Wrexham, but it's going to be tough because everybody's going to want to beat them, and I think it's going to be a good environment for a young player to get some great experience.
Yeah, do you think and I'm just using this guy's name hypothetically, someone like Jamie Vardy, who at this point really isn't doing a whole lot for Leicester City, and instead of walking away from the game, may be able to go spend one season with Wrexham and just wreck League Two completely because of how talented of a scorer he still probably can be at a League Two level, but there's a difference between that and the Premier League, right? Do you think we could see players like that, of that ilk? Because Ben Foster's a really nice player to be in Wrexham. And when I first turned on a Wrexham match and saw that Ben Foster was in goal, I was like, what in the world is this? Could he be? But you're right. He's probably making phone calls to other players and saying, hey, come join us. And you get a group of aging veterans that gets Wrexham up into League One, maybe even the championship. And I just wonder how many guys and how high profile of a guy might end up going to Wrexham and helping them get to League One.
It's quite feasible. I mean, Wrexham are a Welsh club. I've seen Gareth Bale's name mentioned. Now, he's for the Welsh, but it's not his club. I mean, he's a Cardiff man, I believe, and so he'd be more likely to go there. But you never know. You don't know. Vardy's not done just yet, I don't think. I know you're using him just as an example. He was still smart enough to get a penalty out of Wolves on last Saturday. But yeah, I think it's quite possible that because they do have egos. These guys who've played at the top, Vardy's a decent example, actually. He's got egos. If he's not setting the Premier League on fire, why wouldn't he? He might, if he's ready. What better place to go than Wrexham, where the cameras are going to be there, and he's with the Hollywood crowd and the stars coming over. Your Will Ferrell's coming over from the States every now and then.
Paul Rudd was there this week, right?
Right. Yeah. So who wouldn't want to rub shoulders with them? These guys with the who've been at the top, got an ego perhaps, and they do. Yeah. So I think it's the future is very bright for Wrexham.
Is that unfair to the Stockports and the Walsals and people like that of the world if Wrexham's able to just kind of bring in, I don't want to say ringers, but 38-year-olds that would have played at a far higher level if they felt like it, but they're there just because of the notoriety and the fame?
Well, I'd say it's a free market, isn't it? So I think it's fair. All's fair, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's fair. You use what you've got, you use what you can, and if you can attract those players for whatever reason, then yeah, all well and good.